Talk to me, dog. Like, seriously, am I the only one that doesn't give a fuck about this Kendrick Lamar Drake situation? Like, I can't be the only one, right? I really and truly cannot be the only one, right? Like, what is this beef about? What is this beef about? Because somebody said that you, him, and Drake were like the big three of hip hop on a track and you got in your feelings? Is that what this is about? Because I gotta tell you, Kendrick. I gotta tell you, Kendrick. When you talk about tucking a sensitive rapper back in their pajama clothes, you are that sensitive rapper now. Okay? Like, you are basically throwing a hissy fit because another dude paid you a compliment and you just don't like the other dude that he paid you the compliment with. That is legitimately all this is. It's you being in your feelings, throwing a hissy fit, and being a dramatic little bitch. And the fucked up thing is, I like Kendrick. I can't stand Drake worth shit. Okay? There has never been a time in my life where I've looked at Drake's music and been like, yo, bars, yo, that shit hard. Okay? Drake is a sweet boy. Drake is not a gangster. Okay? Drake is not built for the street. He was never out here like that. I'm not saying Kendrick was out here like that. Like, I know a little bit more about Kendrick's background. You know what I'm saying? But when you compare the two, Drake makes music for the club, is my point. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you don't have to be a street dude to make good hip hop. You know what I'm saying? There's dudes out there that aren't street dudes that make good hip hop, right? You don't have to be an ex gangster, ex fucking, like, you got out of jail, you was on the street selling drugs and shit. You don't have to be that to make good hip hop, okay? You just have to be talented and understand how to play with words. And that's the thing. Like, the first song I ever heard from Kendrick Lamar was Rigor Mortis, right? It's not his first track, but it's the first one I heard from him, right? And the lyrical agility on that made me a fan immediately. You know what I'm saying? That it made me a fan immediately. I've never been a fan of Drake, right? Because Drake's music doesn't really appeal to me. It doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Drake makes music for the club. He makes music for bitches, simps, and women. That's it. That's who Drake makes music for, right? If the entirety of Drake's catalog disappeared tomorrow, nothing of value would have been lost, right? The only downside to that would be that dudes would have to go find other sensitive ass dude music to go grind up on women in the club with that aren't gonna fuck them anyway. You see what I'm saying? They would need another, like, metrosexual idol in hip hop to go style themselves after so that women would look at them. Because that's the only reason you're listening to Drake. Okay? The only reason you're listening to Drake is because you're trying to get laid. And you can't change my mind on that. If you, like, yeah, you can't change my mind on that. Drake is not a lyricist. So, again, I ask, what is the point of this beef? Like, this is not a rap beef. Okay, this is just two dudes being dramatic and one dude being in his fucking feelings and throwing a hissy fit because he got mentioned in the same vein as him on a track. Like, okay, we get it. Like, you said this 10 years ago on Control. Like, a decade ago, you came out with a verse that showed that you were one of the best lyricists in hip hop. You proved this 10 years ago. There's people that are saying, oh yeah, J. Cole dodged a bullet. I don't think J. Cole dodged a bullet. I think J. Cole just looked at the situation and was like, fuck it, this ain't worth my time. Like, you want to be in your feelings, then fine, go be in your feelings over there. And it boggles my mind that someone as talented as Kendrick Lamar would let something like that bother him. Because this isn't a fair fight. This isn't, you know what I'm saying? This is a beef like me stepping in a cage with Francis Ngannou was a fight. Like, that's not a fight. That's an invitation to an ass whooping. Like, what what is the point of this? We already know you're lyrically dope, dog. You and Drake aren't on the same level in my eyes in terms of talent and lyricism, but in terms of who's selling, yeah, he's fucking up there, unfortunately. And maybe that's the point, you're trying to prove that, like, I stand head and shoulders above everybody. Well, that's debatable. This would have been more interesting if J. Cole had kept that going. It would have been way more interesting because J. Cole can match Kendrick bar for bar. They're both very talented individuals. So that would have been a better and more interesting conflict. Like, I'm well versed with the history of beef in hip hop. And I can understand, like, if you feel like hip hop has gotten boring. You know what I mean? Because, like, M did the same thing on Kamikaze when he just started shitting on everybody. You know what I mean? He just started shitting on everybody. And like, Eminem does the same thing. And so, like, I'm not going to be hypocritical and say, like, I don't understand that. You know what I mean? People have started beef over less. There's no point to this. There's no winner here. And like I said, like, I understand if it's a case of, Kendrick wanting to kickstart hip hop again and thinking that because of the type of music that Drake makes and the type of music that J. Cole been making, like, maybe he doesn't think that J. Cole is living up to the best of his abilities. With the whole, like, it's not big three, it's just big me. You know what I mean? Like, arguably, this is why I think that if J. Cole hadn't stepped out, this would be more interesting because it would just be a case of, well, who's Drake again? No, we don't care about him. And now we're gonna have these two dudes that are like, no, like, I'm actually the best. And it's two lyricists going at each other, and that's the purity of hip hop. I wouldn't have been cool with it, but that would have been more interesting to me. Like, the outcome of this beef was predetermined. Like, we knew what was gonna happen. We knew it was gonna happen. You're battling a dude who makes music for simps. He himself is King Simp. He's a simp and he's a creeper. Why are you battling him? No one in their right mind thinks Drake is dope. No one. Like, no one. If his music disappeared tomorrow, no one would give a fuck. If Kendrick's music disappeared tomorrow, like, yeah, we'd care because Kendrick has had some dope verses. You know what I'm saying? If J. Cole shit disappeared tomorrow, if M's shit disappeared tomorrow, if all of Tupac's catalog, all of, you know what I'm saying? They're all these greats who, if their music disappeared tomorrow, we would be a lot worse off for it. But, like, how are we gonna pretend that this is even a fair fight? Like, Drake, what because Drake won a beef against Meek Mill like 12 years ago? The only reason he won that beef was because Meek Mill didn't respond quickly enough. It took Meek Mill, like, what, a month, 3 weeks, some shit like that to respond. Like, he just back to back came out, and then he took forever to respond. So everybody just wrote him off. And when he came back with some weak shit. But, like, had he dropped that directly after back to back came out, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation now, because we know Meek Mill. We know Meek Mill, when he puts his head to it, he comes hard. Feel me? We know Meek Mill's catalog. But Drake got bodied by Pusha T on one song. Like, Pusha T's whole entire career is him rapping about how he used to sell drugs for, like, the past 20-25 years. That's his whole shit. Okay, there's not a single song that Pusha T has put out that he doesn't reference the fact that he used to sell drugs. If you told this motherfucker he couldn't talk about selling drugs anymore, his career would be over. He'd have, like, 2 songs. What is the ultimate goal here? To prove you're the best on the mic? We already knew that. I'm just annoyed, is all. You know what I'm saying? I'm annoyed because it's all over my YouTube feed. You got Moist Critical and Asmongold talking about it, right? It's not just a hip-hop reaction community of all the guys that we know, but it's like, it's even outside of that sphere. Like, it's a big deal. I get that it's a big deal. I'm just annoyed because I'm just annoyed. You know what I'm saying? It's all over my YouTube feed and everybody reacted to it and just kind of feeding into this bullshit, pointless drama. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all niggas need to go get a hug or some shit. Like, go home to your baby mama, hug your children, simmer the fuck down. It's not that serious. This is great. Like, you can go make music and not show that ultimately, for as hard as you try to be, Kendrick, you're exactly as fucking sensitive and as soft as the man you're trying to diss right now. Get the fuck out of here. Get off my fucking scene with that shit. Fucking beef. Like, what the fuck is this bullshit? These motherfuckers need to go. Motherfuckers need to go get a goddamn fucking hobby. Go get a fucking hug or some shit. Go smoke some weed. Sit in the corner, nigga. Like, what the fuck wrong with y'all? Fuck out of here with this bullshit.